We is live. Do do. What one was I using before? Oof. Input tutorial, that's the one. There should be an update. Oh, sorry. Bum, bum, ba, da, 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 da. Ba, da, da, da. Hmm. Oh wait, this wasn't it. Wait, was this it? Oh no, this was it. Yeah. Oh. Okay, right. This was going over all of the parts. Oh, right, I forgot to change that. Go to the analytics, see if anybody's really watched it. A couple of people have watched it, 4 watches. Watch time of people are dipping out. Damn it. I don't know. Hmm. Ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-da-da-da-da-do-do. Ba-da-da-da-da-do. Okay, so an enum is just an easy and clean way of matching an integer to a meaningful name for that given task. For meaningful name for a given task. Closing. This will allow you to track the current state of the door while it can only ever be in a single given state. I'm using an enum here to track the state for the door. State. Because we are using an enum, we can check if the door is open or closed by checking the 2's binary place and the 4's binary. Because we're using an enum, we can use the binary binary numbers as flags. In this example, if the ones column is set to this example, if the twos column, twos or fours column is set to 1, then the door is in a moving state. This will allow us to track this will allow us to easily track the direction in which the door is moving without having to add multiple. The direction in which the door is moving, as well as if it is moving, without having to add extra booleans that require checking games. Binary flag. That's not what I meant. Binary flags. Chart. Why do I... Binary bit flag chart? No, not that. This kind of works. But it's also backwards. Oh. Oh. I think I just got to make it. It's time to make the Ow! It's time to do the makey-makeys. All right, let's do this. Oof. Actually, this is too big. Let's do brushes. Mom. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, these are all different. Okay, that's fine. And then this one here. Let's put a box around this. Just like that. And we'll come down here like so. Oh shit, I got a raid. How was your stream, Ness? Ness. So I think I got it right that time. How is everybody? Everybody up to no good? Good night. All right, have a good one. Thank you for the raid. Oh, thank you for the follow there. I'm doing okay. Really tired, but I'm okay. Just slowly trying to work through thanks for the follow. Yes, thank you and Asen gameplay for the follow. Much appreciated. ASN gameplays. I think I might have gotten it right. It's so hard to tell. But thank you. It's much appreciated. Okay, so do I need to new? How was your stream? What were you up to? I'm apparently I'm just trying to draw on a blank slate here. There's nothing working. I'm going to sleep. Ah, well, thank you for the raid. It is very appreciated. It is quite late where you are, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it early? Oh, I figured out why that wasn't working. There we go. Okay, there we go. Welcome. So this is the ones. Twos. Fours. And eights. Screws? No, it's binary. So if you want to represent this binary number, right? We can represent, it can be represented with the math 4 plus 2 equals 6. Yeah. So what we're doing is in our example here, so we do here, we have a door, right? So we have this door, and we want to be able to represent it as closed, open, opening, and closing, right? So what we can do is this binary digit here can be open / closed. And then this would be, say, opening and closing. I understand a little bit. Okay. So what we can do is, like, let's say that we have the binary representation of 4, the number 4. It would be in the state of closing. And the binary representation of 2 would be the state of opening, and 1 would be open, right? So what we can do to check the current state, right, is we can say if the 4 or 2 flag, so if each one of these binary bits here is a flag, right? If the 4 or 2 flag are set, the door is moving. Interesting and complex at the same time. Okay, so what we can do, is utilizing a part of the processor, right? The brain of your computer, is we can check individual bits inside of this here using like a kind of pseudo math equation, right? So if this is the state of the door, right? No, they're I don't know. I don't think I'd call them that. But okay, so it's a state machine, right? So you have essentially we have three binary bits that matter in this, right? So this would be closed. This would be open. This would be opening. And this would be closing. Right? So this is 0. This is 1. This is 2. And this is 4. Right? So since the door can only ever be in the states 0, 1, 2, or 4, is an integer, right? What we can do is we can use a binary bit operation called OR, which is sorry, not OR, AND, which is just a singular ampersand, right? And what we can do is check it against the bits that we do want to check for, right? So what we do is we say we use the single and 0 and 0 is 0. 1 and 1 is 0. And then 1 and 1 is 1. 0 and 0 becomes 0. I would love to know more about the English language to understand you better. I have to go to sleep. I hope what you are doing goes great and you teach a lot of things. I hope that people understand me. And I imagine that English as your second language does not make this easy to follow. Nightness. Sweet dreams. Okay. So what we want to do is delete this. I just accidentally deleted everything, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Okay. Okay, so we come down here. Do, 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 do. Okay, so again, this will be 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, 4. 4 and 8. Right? Then we want to lay out our variables in a easier to read manner. So we'll go zero, 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 zero equals open 0, 1, 0. Oops. Equals closing 0, 1, 1, 0 equals moving. Okay. Now we can get into the little math over here with the and. 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. And 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. Or Add on screen. Get the door state string to the screen. Get the string name of there it is. I'm not gonna lie, I just want to program tonight. I think I might drop from doing a tutorial and just program. The other problem is that I don't really know what I want to program. Maybe I should do art. Mm. The tutorials are so hard. Okay. Oh, what was I gonna do? Right, I'm just gonna push through this and I'm going to do this. Mind me later. We're gonna copy this over. There we go. Okay, so let's do this. Oh, okay. Intro. All right, let's create the intro real quick here. Hey everybody. Today we're going to go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now stay tuned. Oh no. I did this wrong. I forgot to change the output. Yeah, here. Enum tutorial. Okay. Sup everybody, today we're going to go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's get right into it. Oof. It is hard. There we go. Sup everybody, today we're going to go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's get right into it. Oh my god, that sounded terrible. Sup, everybody? Oh, yeah, I was totally bottoming out. I want back here. Sup, everybody? Nope. Okay. Maybe here? Let's try this. Sup, everybody? Today we're gonna do Unreal Engine C++. Sup, everybody? Today we're gonna go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. I think that one felt better. That one felt okay. Sup, everybody? Today we're gonna go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. That sounded like I bottomed out, really. Sup, everybody? Today we're going to go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Maybe a little bit further back. Sup, everybody? Today we're going to go over Unreal Engine C++. Sup, everybody? Today we're going to go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Sup, everybody? Today we're going to go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Jump right into it. Jump right into it. Jump right into it. Sup, everybody? Today we're going to go. Sup, everybody? Today we're going to go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Beautiful. Use a Delta key. Today we're going to go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. We're going to go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Oh, I totally forgot to switch back. Sup everybody, today we're going to go over enums and Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Sup everybody, today Sup everybody, today we're going to go over enums and Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Sweet. Sup everybody. Let's also move this. No. One, we're going to zoom out, make it smaller. And then we want to bring it down like here. There we go. And we need to change the playback. Okay, so we can do this. Today we're going to go over okay, I want this to be double speed. Unreal Engine. C resolve. Increase speed.
This tutorial will show you how to increase speed of your video clip in DaVinci Resolve 18. An example of my video here, I'm going to play it at 100% speed. Now, to speed up your video clip, the first thing you want to do is right-click on the video clip, and on the drop-down, choose Change Clip Speed option.
Oh my god, that person needs to do levels. Everybody, today we're going to go over enums and Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Everybody, today we're going to go over enums and Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Let's jump right into it. Okay, this works. Maybe just a tiny bit like there. There we go. Everybody, today we're going to go over enums and Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. Sweet, that works. We're going to start by creating an actual enum. I don't like that. We're going to start by creating the enum itself, and then we're going to add it to our door base actor. And then we're going to have the interact here actually change the state of it and we'll print it out to screen. If you're unfamiliar with the interact stuff, in my previous video, I went over how to set this up for the enhanced input system, and I heavily suggest going to give that a watch and then coming back to here if you're missing anything. All right, so let's start by creating the enum. So we're going to start with a uenum, give it a blueprint type. Okay, and then we will give it, then it will be enum, and then class eDoor state, and it will be of type uint8 because it's always uint8 in Unreal. If you're using regular C++, you don't have to use a uint8. You can use a uint of any size. You do want to stick with a uint, which is an unsigned int, meaning that it can't go below 0, but it can go up to a much higher number. So 8 to the power of 2, which is minus 1, which is 255. All right, so we'll start by naming out the different states that we want to be able to put our door in. So we've got closed, right? We have opened, so open. We have opening, closing, and that's really the only 4 states that I can think of at the moment. All right, so if we want to assign these very specific values, we can, right? Like we can do 1, right, 0. We could do a hexadecimal one. In this case here, because in an upcoming video I want to go over bit flags, I'm going to start by just giving these a binary representation of the number that I want them to be, so it's easier to visualize later. So I'm going to use 0b for binary, and we're going to give it 4 decimal places because it's easy to remember. It's easy to visualize 4 decimal places for what we've got here. That means that the first decimal place will always be a 0. Just find it looks a little bit cleaner. Then we'll come over here. 1 and 0 be 0, 0, 1, 0. Let's give this one more space. Then we're going to do... Okay, so you can see where this is kind of going, right? The 0 bit here will always be closed. If the 1 is set, it'll be open. If 2 is set, it will be opening. And if 4 is set, it will be closing. All right. So let's also give these meaningful names so we can actually pull directly from it and not just have to remember, hey, this is closing, this is opening kind of thing. Like if we want to be able to just print out what it is and we don't know, we can just have it to print the actual display name, right? So we're going to use a umeta display name. So umeta the display name equals closed. You'll notice that it's auto-populating some of this stuff for me. That's just because I've installed ChatGPT, or sorry, Copilot. Right, and we can just copy and paste these in, right? Now we'll just change these to their meaningful names that we wanted to give them. And then what we can do is we can also just give this a the name here, right? So this would be 0, right? This one here would be, this one here would be 1, and this one would be 2, and this one would be 4, being the binary numbers. And what this allows us to do is if we take 2 and 4 and we add them together, we get 6, which is represented by 0, 1, 1, 0, right? So we can do binary bitwise, what's called bitwise operators on them later. Like I said, we'll get to that more a little bit in the next video. All right, so we're going to put these in protected. And we don't actually need to be able to access these from blueprints, so we can forego having a U property attached to them and stuff like that. But if we wanted to, we could do U property. We might as well edit anywhere. Blueprint, read write. And we can give it a category of door. Now we would need an E door state, right? And this is setting the type, and then we're going to call it door state. And then we're going to predefine it as E. You can do this though. E door state closed, right? Now it will default to closed. If you needed to have the door start open, we could set it to open here as well. Or if you wanted to set it at a specific angle and have it set to opening or closing, we could do that as well. So we're going to start it with closed because that makes the most sense for what we're doing. And here we can see how this is starting to work, right? So we use the E door state, right? Which is saying, and then because this is a class property, right? We use the double colons rather than the arrow or the dot. And then we just say, hey, which one do we want? Do we want closed state? Do we want open state? Do we want opening or closing state? Now these can change, right? Like I could change this to be 0 and 1. And now anything that's flagged as E door state closing automatically switches from being 4 to being 8. And that's just the integer in question, right? So we leave it at closing, and then we can come over here to the interact. And what we're going to do is say, if the door is open, right, and we interact with it, we want it to go to closing. If it's closed, we want it to go to opening. If it's opening, we want it to be switched to open when it's finished and closed when it's finished with the closing state, right? So what we can do to make this easier, instead of having a bunch of different if statements, what we can do is we can do what's called a switch. All right. And what this does is it just says, hey, which one of it is are we in? And it only does one check and then jumps to a position in memory. So we can do switch, and then it will be E door state. And, oh, sorry, not E door state, door state, right? And switches here, you need to use an integer, and that's why we're going to use an enum. It's one of the reasons why we can use an enum here. So here we're going to say switch door state, and then we do case, and then we give it the case that we want to look for. In this case, we're going to say E door state closed. And then we use a colon instead of braces for this. And it's very important that we add a break, because if we don't add a break here, what will happen is it will cascade down to the next one, right? And we can see how this would work here if we say open, right? Now, if we didn't have the break and we did something like this, door state equals E door state opening, right? Then we didn't have this break, and then we did door state equals E door state. Oh, sorry, this is be opening. The other one would be closing, my bad. Oh, no, this would be opening. Sorry, this one would be closing. Yeah. Anyways, so if we didn't have a break like I've got here, like what we have right here, what would happen is if we came in and door state was equal to closed, it would execute an update to opening, and then it would also execute an update to closing. And then by the time we got down here, now and to the end here and finished running this, we would be in the closing state, even though that's not where we want to be. We want to be in the opening state. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a break. Another thing that we could do here is add a return. But that would exit out as soon as we hit the return, and we'd no longer be in the interact function anymore. And what we want to do is add a print to the end of this, so it prints to the screen our current state. So to do that, we're going to use a break, which says, hey, leave the switch, we're done. You can do the same with a for loop or an if statement. You can break, and it exits the current scoping. Okay, so here we're going to say e door state opening, and then door state will equal to e door state open. Case e door state closing. We'll then do e door state equals e door state closed. And again, we want to make sure that we have this. And then if we had other states that we could possibly be in, we would want to have a default. And we can do that just by this. And then we would put any logic that we wanted here. And then if our door is in any state that's not that, then we would run it here. But since there's only 4 states that we can ever be in, we're safe to do this. Okay, so now we want to add in the on-screen debugging. So that's going to be G engine. And we're going to use a pointer here because G engine is going to be, well, G engine is a pointer, so we're going to use the arrow key, or sorry, the arrow notation. And then we'll do add on screen debug message, sorry. And then we have a couple variables here. The first one will be the index of where we want it to be on the screen kind of thing, like the layer. So we're going to do -1, so it's always on top. Then it needs a time to display. We're going to say 4 milliseconds. And 5 milliseconds. And then we're going to give it a color. In this case, this isn't a error, so red is not appropriate. Let's give it something like, I'm going to use yellow. Yellow is usually reserved for warnings, but in this case, let's just use yellow because it stands out a little bit more on our current backdrop. Now, I want to format this so we have the state itself. And what we're going to do there, to do that, we're going to do an F string. And then again, because we're accessing a static property or class property, we don't need a instance of it. We can use the double colons. We're going to do printf. And now printf gives us 2 values that we're going to pass into 2 arguments, sorry. We're going to pass in text of door state and then %s for string. Okay, and then we're going to dereference an enum get sorry, I didn't do that. A u enum get value as string, and then we're going to pass in door state because that's our enum, and then just add the colon there, and then that's it. Right now, the issue here is that we don't have any way of interacting with this specific door when we actually hit any button, right? So what we're going to want to do is let's just quickly jump over to our character. So we can do that by going to source here. I've already moved these into the publics and privates here. So we can just go into here and we'll do, we'll bring up our header file. And then we will bring up our, oh, sorry, that was game mode, character, the header file. And then the character CPP file. We're going to come down and we should have our interact and interact event all set up here, right? So we can jump into here. What we're going to do now is just add in a really quick, hey, the interact event is set. Let's trace to the door and see if it was a door that we hit. So we can get rid of this debug here, right? We're going to do const f vector start location equals get actor location. And this just gets the current actor's location, so your character's location. plus f vector 0, 0, 50. Ah, god damn it. I'll be right back. Mm. We'll use a trigger. Yeah, we're going to use a trigger on this. It will make it simpler. We're going to start by creating an actual enum. I don't like that. Which is from being 4 to run e door state opening, and then door state will equal to e door state open. Case e door state closing. We'll then do e door state equals e door state closed. And again, we want to make sure that we have this. Okay, so now we want to add in the on-screen debugging. So that's going to be G engine. And we're going to use a pointer here because G engine is going to be, well, G engine is a pointer, so we're going to use the arrow key, or sorry, the arrow notation. And then we'll do add on screen debug message, sorry. And then we have a couple variables here. The first one will be the index of where we where we want it to be on the screen, kind of thing, like the layer. So we're going to do -1, so it's always on top. Then it needs a time to display. We're going to say 4 milliseconds. And sorry, 5 milliseconds. And then we're going to give it a color. In this case, this isn't a error, so red is not appropriate. Let's give it something like, I'm going to use yellow. Yellow is usually reserved for warnings, but in this case, let's just use yellow because it stands out a little bit more on our current backdrop. Now, I want to format this so we have the state itself. And what we're going to do to do that, we're going to do an f string. And then again, because we're accessing a static property or class property, we don't need a instance of it. We can use the double colons. We're going to do printf. And now printf gives us 2 values that we're going to pass into 2 arguments, sorry. We're going to pass in text of door state and then %s for string. Okay, and then we're going to dereference an enum get sorry, I didn't do that. A u enum get value as string. And then we're going to pass in door state because that's our enum. And then just add the colon there. And then that's it. Right? Now the issue here is that and then just add the colon there. And then that's it. 1354. 1354. 1354. 1354. 1354. Okay, so we can save all of this. This entire thing will work. We just need to edit it out now. We're going to start by creating an actual enum. I don't like that. We're going to start by creating the enum itself, and then we're going to add it to our door base actor. And then we're going to have the interact here actually change the state of it, and we'll print it out to screen. If you're unfamiliar with the interact stuff, in my previous video, I went over how to set this up for the enhanced input system, and I heavily suggest going to give that a watch and then coming back to here if you're missing anything. All right, so let's start by creating the enum. So we're going to start with we're going to start by creating an actual enum. I don't like that. We're going to start by creating the enum itself, and then we're going to add it to our door base actor. And then we're going to have the everybody. Today we're going to go over enums in Unreal Engine C++. Now let's jump right into it. We're going to start by creating the enum itself, and then we're going to add it to our door base actor. And then we're going to have the interact here actually change the state of it, and we'll print it out to screen. If you're unfamiliar with the interact stuff, in my previous video, I went over how to set this up for the enhanced input system, and I heavily suggest going to give that a watch and then coming back to here if then we're going to base actor, and then we're going to have the interact here actually change the state of it, and we'll print it out to screen. If you're unfamiliar with the interact stuff, in my previous video, I went over how to set this up for the enhanced input system, and I heavily suggest going to give that a watch and then coming back to here if you're missing anything. All right, so let's start by creating the enum. So we're going to start with the then we're going to have the interact here actually to our door base actor, and then we're going to have the interact then we're going to have the I have to add the interact. Then we're going to have the interact here actually change the state of it, and we'll print it out to screen. If you're unfamiliar with the interact stuff, in my previous video, I went over how to set this up for the enhanced input system, and I heavily suggest going to give that a watch and then coming back to here if you're missing anything. All right, so let's start by all right, so okay, so this needs to be replaced. By creating the enum itself, and then we're going to add it to our door base actor, and there we go. So we're gonna have to do it here. All right, so let's start by creating the enum. So we're going to start with a enum, give it, and we get the last door tick, and you'll do eight, because it's in here's in level, you have to use you say was not in that table, but it got to higher. So 8 is our 2, which is 1, 2, 9. So we're trying to the was the in. So we got both, right? We have open, so we have name, and so you can come up. So it was used for us, when you on right here, has one in state in maybe start to think anywhere from top around each zero, like 0, right? And then it was like 0, 0, 4, me personally, 5, come here, and 0, 0, 0, 0, and we go. Actually, and all right, so was and all right, so let's start by okay, so we're gonna all right, so let's start by creating the enum. Okay, so essentially that space actor and creating and and we want this. There we go. Okay, so we just have to do the reset up here, which is going to be easy enough, right? So what we'll do is we're just going to copy this off. Let's grab out our scratch pad here. Our temporary scratch pad here. We're gonna just copy this. And this. And delete. Come back to DaVinci Resolve and see it itself, and then we're going to add it to our door base actor, creating the enum. So we're going to start with a. So I like this, but what we're going to do is we're going to come into here and just create a recording. How much time do we need? Does it tell us how long this is? So what's this? This is do, do, do. 100 1158. See. There we go. That should do the trick. Okay, so this is the main body. Yeah. This is the overview background. Okay, and then this one here will go in right here. And all we need to do is come to here. And then this piece here, we just go to audio and bring it down to 0. We're going to start by creating the enum. And I think this needs to come in like that into it. We're going to start by creating. Oh, it's so not good. Creating the enum. We're going to start by creating the enum. Start by creating the enum itself. And let's re-record that. We're going to start by creating the enum itself. We're going to start by creating the enum itself. We're going to start by creating the enum itself. Oops. We're going to start by creating the enum itself, and then we're going to add it to our door. We're going to start by creating the enum itself, and then we're going to add it to our door base actor. By creating the enum itself, and then we're going to add it to our door base actor, creating the enum. Creating the enum. So our door base actor, creating. All right, let's start by creating the. Oh wait, no, I gotta change that. And then we're going to add it to our door base actor. Create. And then we're going to. Okay, so we can redo this. We're going to start by creating the enum itself. And okay, so we're actually going to get rid of this text altogether. We're going to start by creating a method called interact that will be triggered on collision, and then we're going to create the enum. I think this one, yeah, no, this one's currently being used. But I think we can delete this. Delete this one. Bring this over. Overview. Come over to here. And then we're going to add it to our we're going to start by creating a method called interact. Okay, so this is the one. We're going to start by creating a method called interact that will be triggered on collision, and then we're going to create the enum. Create the enum. Start by creating We're going to start by creating a method called interact that will be triggered on. Okay, let's do this. That will. We're going to start by creating a method called interact that will be triggered on collision, and then we're going to a method called interact that will be triggered on now on collision. Now on collision. on collision. Now be triggered on collision, and then we're going to create the enum. Well, I need you forgot. And then we're going to create the enum. By creating a method called interact that will be triggered on collision, and then we're going to create the enum. Let's start by creating the let's start by creating the let's start by creating the interact method. So we're going to do jump down to protected, or actually we're going to jump down to public. Let's start by creating to create the enum, and then we're going to add it. Let's start by creating the method. We're going to do that in the public here, so it can be called outside of this if we want to later. We're going to do void interact event, and it's going to take in nothing, and then we're just going to need to generate it in our CPP file. So we can do that by having the code, the editor do that for us. And then, no, I don't like that. All right, we're going to start by creating the method. We're going to do that down in protected here. We're just going to use void interact event, and we don't need to have it pass in anything. And what we're going to do is just generate that in the CPP file. And then now that that's created, we can start creating our enum. All right, we're going to start by creating the method. We're going to do that down in protected here. We're just going to use void interact event, and we don't need to have it pass in anything. And what we're going to do is just generate that in the CPP file. And then now that that's created, we can start creating. Nope, can't use that one. Damn it. Because I didn't use interact event, I used interact. We're going to start by creating the interact method. We're going to do that down here in protected. So it'll be void interact, and we're going to have it pass in a actor pointer of the interacting actor. And while we're not going to use it here, it's useful for future endeavors. That way you can say, hey, is the interacting actor the player or an AI or whatever in the future. All right, so let's just generate that in our CPP file. And now the next thing that we'll want to do is actually create the enum and start populating things. We're going to start by creating the interact method. We're going to do that down here in protected. So it'll be void interact, and we're going to have it pass in a actor pointer of the interacting actor. And what we're not going to use it here, it's useful for future endeavors. That way you can say, hey, is the interacting actor the player or an AI or whatever in the future. All right, so let's just generate that in our CPP file. And now the next thing that we'll want to do is actually create the enum and start populating things. I'm okay with this. Is it perfect? No. Is it ever going to be? No, because I barely know what the fuck I'm doing. Better overview. Oh, wait. Create method. We're going to start by, yeah, I need you to create the enum. We're going to start by creating the interact method. We're going to start by creating a method called interact that will be triggered on collision. And then we're going to create the enum. We're going to start by creating the... Okay, so I think I can actually just delete all of this. Engine, C++. Now let's jump right into it. We're going to start by creating the interact method. We're going to do that down here in protected. So it'll be void interact, and we're going to have it pass in a actor pointer of the interacting actor. And what we're not going to use it here, it's useful for acting actor. And what we're not going to use it here, it's useful for future endeavors. That way you can say, hey, is the interacting actor the player or an AI or whatever in the future. All right, so let's just generate that in our CPP file. And now the next thing that we'll want to do is actually create the enum and start populating things. And then we're going to add it to our door base actor, creating the enum. So we're going to start with actor, creating the enum. So we're going to, and then we're going to add it to our door base actor, creating the enum. Things. Creating the enum. by let's start by creating the enum. So we're, oh, that's why. What's my enum here? Thanks. The thing that we'll want to do is actually create the enum and start populating things. Creating the enum. So we're going to start with a new enum. Creating the enum. So we're going to start what I'm going to do is actually create the enum and start populating things. So we're going to start with a new enum, give it a blueprint. Usually reserved for warnings, but in this case, let's just use yellow because it stands out a little bit more on our current backdrop. Now, I want to format this so we have the state itself. And what we're going to do there, to do that, we're going to do an f string. And then, again, because we're accessing a static property or class property, we don't need an instance of it. We can use the double colons. We're going to do printf. And now printf gives us two values. We're going to pass in two arguments, sorry. We're going to pass in text of your state and then %s for string. Okay, and then we're going to dereference an enum, get, sorry, I have to do that, a u enum, get value as string. And then we're going to pass in your state because that's our enum. And then just add the colon there. And then that's it. Right here. Yeah, and then that's it. And then pass in your state because that's our enum. And then just add the colon there. Wait, now we can add this all back. Oops. And then just add the colon there. With an interact now set up, we're going to, oh wait, fuck, I'm not ready yet. Okay, so, oh no, we'll do that. Actually, I guess we'll do that here. So we'll just add an overlap. Do I have an overlap? I think I have an example of a overlap. You know what? Actually, I'll do this in blueprints. Now that we have the interact code all fleshed out and ready to go, we need some way of actually interacting with it. Now, we could do that in C++. In this case, I'm just going to do this as a trigger box inside of the blueprint, and then we'll have that call to the interact method here. So to do that, we just want to do view function and blueprint callable. And then we just want to give it a category, and we're just going to use category of door to keep with consistency. Now we can just restart our editor, and then we're going to create a door actor, and then add the interact, the box trigger. So if we come down here to third person blueprint, we're just going to do blueprint class. We're going to come in here with an at as a here, and we're going to say door IT door base. Select it. We're going to do BP door, and then here we're going to just set this up real quick. Now I've got some static meshes loaded in for the door. Let's just have that happen here. So we're going to do static mesh. We're going to add a static mesh. Our static mesh here is going to be the door frame. We don't need the full door here. That's fine. And then we're going to have a trigger. Oh, sorry, a box trigger. Box collision, sorry. And the box collision, I'm just going to have this attached to here. I'm going to move this up a bit and move it out. Oh, maybe just a bit more there. And let's bring it out here. Is this... Damn it! Is this blueprint only or also C++ tutorial? It's predominantly a C++ tutorial. Actually, you know what? Let's just do this all in C++. Make this easy. No, it's fine. It's fine. You didn't distract me. Well, a little bit, but it's fine. How are you doing? And whatnot. All right, so we're going to force delete that. Okay, so save all. This is fine. I'm going to close this. Okay, so doing good? That is good to hear. I need to remember a box collider really quickly here. And I think I've got one in one of my other projects here. But if we go to here, Unreal Engine, C++, box collider. Because I don't think that we, if I remember correctly, it's a U-box component. That's what it is. Right? U-box component. Okay, so I was right. It's a U-box component. Then we're gonna take the U-box component API. Sorry, I missed your message. What's up? I'll hit you up in a bit. I had some art questions that I'll come back to. So Ice Keurig, do you know C++ at all? Are you getting in, do you know blueprints? What is the... All right, let's just write it really quickly and then we'll copy it over into our notepad, just so we've got it working. So we need a U property of edit anywhere. Or sorry, edit defaults. Edit defaults only. Category equals door. And then this will be a massive door mesh. We'll leave that there for now. That's fine. Then we need a U property edit defaults only. Category equals door. This will be a UBox component with a door trigger. It's beautiful. Then up here we need to do create, root component equals create default sub object u scene component text scene component set root component. Then we're going to create the static mesh. Does this tutorial involve networking or single player? This is just enum stuff. Like, we're just going over enum stuff for this tutorial. So we're going to do a door mesh equals create default door mesh. Then we're going to set an attachment to root there. Then here we're going to do the door trigger. Go. Trigger. Include. Are you not familiar with enums? Oh. You haven't used them in Unreal? They're so handy though. So we go through creating this specific enum, and specifically we set it up so it can be used as a bit flag later. Are you familiar with bit flags? So if I'm not mistaken, the door trigger on begin, no, overlap. I'm trying to figure out if you're describing it really awkwardly, or if it's like I think I've got a diagram that I've got this diagram that I was working on for how bit flags work. So, all right, just so I know that we're on the same page, because yes, you're describing it correctly. Like, we're using a singular bit instead of just a Boolean value to describe it, right? But essentially what we're going to do is we've got the ones column, twos, the 4, and the 8s column, right? Now, obviously, because we actually have 8 columns in total, which puts us at 255 as the final number, right? In memory. But in this situation, right, we've got, we can write this out because of how many states that we have. We can just write it out to shorthand for 4, right, to give us a little bit of padding and it doesn't look weird. So what we can do is we can state that 0, 0, 0, 0 is closed. So 0 is closed. 1 is open. 2 is opening. And 4 is closing. So if we have bit flags representing the state here, now we're muddying the waters a little bit here, and you wouldn't normally do this, but it's like, what is 0 and 1 for closing, right? These kind of like roll together, right? So that's why I'm rolling them together here. But the idea is that we've got open, opening, closing, and closed. And what we can do is, because the bit in the second column, or the twos column, is always going to be 1 if it's opening, or 0 if it's not, and it will be 1 in the closing column if it's closing, and 0 if it's not. We can use a mask with the number 6 in it, because this is the 4's column here, and this is the 2's column, and 2 plus 4 equals 6, obviously, right? And we can use this to check the bits in the specific columns that we want to check for. And that's all the flags are. I don't know if I explained that very well. I'm still trying to work out my good way to explain it. So let me know how I did. But yeah, I've got like the math here that I was going to go over, which is like, so the and will give us, this will be 0 and 0 is going to be 0. 1 and 1 will be 1, because we want to make sure they're both the same. 0 and 1 will be 0. 0 and 0 will be 0, right? And then this one's an or, which you can use to figure out your different flags. So 0, 0 is going to be 0. 1 or 1 will be 1. 0 or 1 will be 1. And 0, 0 will be 0. What's the benefit of using bit flags over regular Booleans? So bit flags allow us to use a enum, right, to store the value, and then we can check the enum itself. So in this situation, right, we because we have 3 kind of distinct states that it can be in, right, we would need like in this situation we'd need say is closed, and then we would also need like is opening, maybe, or is closing, right? And then we'd have to make sure that if we're closing, we trigger this one, and if we're opening, we like fiddle with these different flags, right? And it creates error prone code, right? So using a bit flag, we can guarantee, because our enum is the way that it's set up, we'll never be in a situation, the enum can never be opening and open, can never be closing and open, right? Technically, if it's opening, it's also closed, and closing is also closed, right? So that's why like this column doesn't always get used this way, and will sometimes the ones column will just be none, right? But essentially, we can say if the value, so if we do this, right, here, even if this is a 1, right? So like if we were to say, come into here and let's change this from a 0 to a 1, right? So what we can do is we can say 0, 1. This is going to be 0. This will be 0. This will be 0. This will be 0. So this equals 0, right? Now, the only state that we actually care about the door being in is if it's moving or not moving, right? So if we have this as our mask, we can be like 0, 1, 0, 0, which is greater than 0, which is truthy, right? So this will evaluate as true, right? And then we can play a sound. And that's about it. That's like the only reason why we're using a bit flag for this is so I can easily play a sound and I can do a singular check rather than being like, is it opening? Is it closing? If if yes, play sound, right? I can just do, hey, is it either of these two? Yeah? Okay, sweet. Play the sound. Right? And I can do it with one singular call and I don't have to worry about things as much. I really like it. Where are you hosting this tutorial? YouTube? Yeah, so like and then like an enum is just an integer that has meaningful labels, right? Under the hood, an enum is literally just an integer. But we get an extra nice thing, an extra nice little added thing with um enums in Unreal. So enums in Unreal can have a display name, right? And so the display name allows us to tie this closed value to an actual string that gets pulled out, and we can use it here as to display the actual current running state of the thing, right? It's all good, Don. How are you? How are things? By the way, I should probably I was going to I was going to give you VIP. I keep forgetting to do it. How did you stream today? I didn't see you. Oh wait, you were probably on YouTube, right? Because but Uint 8 is the default for Unreal. Like Uint 8 is what you'll always find in the documentation. And to be fair, just because I say this is a Uint 8, it doesn't mean that it actually is, and it's taking up 8 bits in memory. This actually will take up 64 bits in memory, right? So like memory usage on my system is going to use this as 64 bits anyways, right? So it really doesn't actually matter. We're just kind of like saying, hey, eh, treat it as an U8. I was on Twitch, finally finished the portfolio project. Wait, how did I not see you then on Twitch? Actually, I guess I didn't really spend that much time on Twitch. Yeah. Yeah. So everything under the hood ends up being gets padded out to 64 bits when it hits registers. In the actual, like, technically this will make so actually this would use less physical memory. No, it won't. It still gets padded. If I remember correctly, it still gets padded. It's been so long since I've like actually stepped through um live full debugging of a compiled application that I can't always remember exactly what the memory addresses looked like for certain things anymore. So I used to have to do reverse engineering for malware. How did the portfolio project go? No, you can't. So for enums in Unreal, there is actually a cap for 8 bits. I, unless I have bad information, I think I read somewhere something like that, that there was a cap on 8 bits for enums if you're making them blueprint types, right? But that's because they want to prevent you, like they don't want you to be like, they don't want you to have like over two, like there's a finite amount that they can deal with, right? um yeah, don't hold it as an absolute fact, but it's a general. If I'm not mistaken, I read somewhere that it was uint 8 was kind of like the cap. Like you could theoretically go under it, but if you read the documentation, it's always a uint 8. And I thought I read somewhere that they require, you can't go over uint 8. Yeah, that's like it's not what's going to blow the memory. It's, I think it's mostly because it actually gives you a drop down menu, and this is capable of doing 255 individual states, right? And 255 states is a lot of states. if you did if you did a uint 64, right? Imagine if when they're trying to render that out in the Unreal editor, right? That would become a problem, right? It's like 4,000 plus words. It's a really long post. It doesn't really have a lot of fluff. It's just packed with info. Is it open? Because I think that you said that parts of it were open or something like that. You should drop a link to your tutorial. My door has billions of states, exactly. So uh, Don the developer. So Don the developer here is another developer. He specializes mostly in front end and back end web development. And great, he's doing a tutorial, or not a tutorial. Would it count as a tutorial? Anyways, he does a lot of help on getting started in the industry and getting your first job and stuff like that. Um, and what you should do, things you should worry about. Now, keep in mind, it's not necessarily tailored directly to you, where you live and stuff like that. It is kind of more of a general thing, right? So, you know, you've got to always take that into consideration whenever you're listening to people online, me included. Um, but his information and what he talks about is very accurate for the um, for the market in North America, at least. It rings fairly true for Canada as well, although it is mostly American centric because that's where he lives. But yes, go give him a follow. He also has a YouTube channel. Um, sorry, Don the developer. Thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. But yeah, so 10 out of 10. Go give him a follow. He's a great guy. Very informative. But it is. Yeah. Yeah, and then this one's going to be the next tutorial on my YouTube channel. Today I released the Unreal Enhanced Input System thing. It's not an amazing Like I think I did a pretty good job. I hope I did a really good job. Please feel free to be critical of it if you feel I needed to do a better job in certain spots. It's always good to know where I can improve. I'm trying to learn gas to make an MMO. It's hard. Do not make an MMO, and gas is a terrible spot to start. It is a great system. Gas is an amazing system. How many games have you made so far, though? Because there is a class of people that can make an MMO as their first game. If game jams count one. Okay, so you haven't made enough games to be getting into MMO development. And then the next question is, how much C++ do you know already before starting with Unreal? And then give me 2 seconds while you answer that. I'm going to be right back. I need more water. So basically, bro, yeah. I think that okay, so I'm gonna start by saying you picked a good course. You've probably got enough C++ knowledge to um be able to understand C++ stuff, but how long have you been doing Unreal? Right? Because you should move to C++, Unreal C++, after you have a fairly decent grasp of blueprints. So how do you feel that you are with blueprints, right? And also in um yeah, so uh Tom Lumen's course might be good for you. It is an amazing C++ course. I actually have it myself, and I've followed along with him a little bit for different things. I've not done it top to bottom, but in his course, he actually calls out how difficult it is to start with gas. And the reason it's so difficult to start with gas is because you have to understand all of gas before you can start with gas. So in order to understand gas, you have to do something with gas. In order to do something with gas, you have to understand gas. So it's one of those like you have to understand all of gas before you can do anything with gas, right? And it's just such a massive hurdle to get over that starting with some of the core concepts outside of gas is a good way to get started with gas. And then you slowly add things on, right? So gas is very dependent on the gameplay tags. Gameplay tags are not specific to gas, but gas uses them very heavily. There's an action system inside of it and stuff like that that you need to have an understanding of before you get into gas, because uh, it's very heavily leveraged, right? I found a good tutorial for gas, but it barely started recently. Oh, if that's the case, then yeah. Can you link it? I'd love to see a tutorial on gas. I've been bumblefucking my way through gas, little by little here. It's a slow process. Gas is what I would call kind of a lot to go. It's not so like the problem with gas is that it's not even difficult, right? Like it's not difficult to use. It's just it's so much work. Yeah. Do. Let's do a quick chat GPT here. So I can remember what it is. Log in. Give me 2 seconds here. Oh, this guy. His tutorials are not new. This guy's great. He really knows, all right, time to get some sleep for me. Have a great night. All right, have a good one, Don. This guy's super knowledgeable, very good guy. I've actually talked to him a couple of times. He's very, very knowledgeable, very good. Oh, that's cool. Why am I not subscribed to him? This nanite foliage one was really cool. How they figured that out. He made the system for Nightmare World as well. That's cool. I'll have to take a look. Yeah, because there absolutely is a very large gap of how to. Wait, Nightmare World Forsaken? What? Oh, I haven't been following it. I can understand why, right? Like, the thing is that like if you're gonna make an MMO, there's so much that you have to build yourself. Oh, I don't doubt that they can accomplish it. No, the team making Nightmare World could absolutely accomplish it. It's just it's going to take them longer now. Right? But it also could take other things. Netcode is hard. Yes, netcode is hard. But okay, so I don't know what they're going to do, right? So I can make guesses, right? Um one of the reasons why I never went, because I also would like to make an MMO sometime. One of the reasons why I never really went down the route of wanting to use his uh Dart Studios system is because you can't have super vast open worlds with very large player counts utilizing his system, because his system leverages Unreal, right? And Unreal doesn't allow for that because of the way their netcode's being implemented. Yeah, no, that's exactly the issue. He wants less loading screens. So what happens is like the system that he built is great if you have hub worlds and you jump between hub worlds, but it doesn't give you a like WoW like experience. And when people think MMOs, they initially like, I want the WoW like experience where I can travel from one end of the world to the other end of the world with 1,000 people on this same world as me, and we can all interact and stuff like that, and bump into each other and everything like that. With this netcode, every so often you're going to have to load, right? Because the chunks can only be so large depending on your player base. Yeah, so exactly that, right? And you can't, unless things have changed, and things are always in flux and changing, right? And the netcode for Unreal is getting better for this type of stuff every year. Is, oh shit. Thank you for the raid, Cervantes. So everybody from Cervantes Art doing art stuff. I'm doing programming. And welcome, Cervantes. How was your stream? How is the robot shop coming? You have an art station. I do have an art station. I wouldn't call myself an artist though. Sorry. So Unreal doesn't suit MMOs super well for their default netcode. You have to strip out a lot of it to get over 100 players on a singular map. So like a lot of changes and work and effort went into modifying Unreal's netcode to fit 100 players for their battle royale Fortnite. But if you sidestep all of Unreal and build your own entire net server from the ground up, just the server part of it, you get everything you want. And really, if you want to make an MMO, that's really the way that you should go. And you should use an entity component system most likely. Just doing hard surface stuff? Nice. Let me pull up my view my profile. I'll show you my profile. How's the tutorial coming along? Yeah, it's getting there. Going over enums, it can be difficult at times. We've got, give or take, 13 minutes. That's not the hardest part of an MMO. Don't get me wrong, netcode's difficult. The netcode is not the hardest part of an MMO. It's because the netcode is a mostly solved problem. There's libraries that you can use. You can use libraries that get you 80% there, right? It's all about data structures. It's all about data structures, organizing data, flowing data between systems, and stuff like that. The netcode and how you manage the world. Yeah. I support your idea of making an MMO though, and I think that's a great thing to work towards. I think that you're still a little bit too new to game development though to be building an MMO. Your focus on multiplayer though is a great idea, and you should absolutely build a multiplayer game. Do it. Unreal's a great engine for that too. You want to start smaller. The best thing that you can do is start small and take little victories, right? Because an MMO is absolutely doable. Also, like, you've got to ask yourself what the scale of your MMO is. No, he's already built a game, right? So my first game technically was an MMO. Right? Because you could do massive Mario Online. No, my first game was a top-down The first game I ever made was a top-down MMO. Basic movement, up, down, left, right. And to attack, you just bumped into the other player, right? But every person that logged in all existed on a singular map, and we could have like 1,000 people on there if we wanted to, and it would still tick just fine, right? So that was my map, and that was my world, and it was just one world. When you die, you just restart somewhere on the map. It wasn't an RPG. There was no story behind it or anything like that. And you could get way overpowered. It wasn't tuned or anything like that. I built it in 12 days. I banged it out. It was a web-based MMO, and it was super simple. It was complicated for me because I had to write the entire backend engine from the ground up by myself. A lot of the difficulty out of MMO development, you can just download his demo project and change the art, and bam, you have an MMO. Sort of. You sort of have an MMO. You don't have your MMO though. Right? If that's the route that you want to go down, that's not a bad route, right? But I would suggest with building a small multiplayer game first, and slowly build up your repertoire by building small games that are time boxed essentially, or scope boxed, very small. So like my next game right now that I'm working on is a waifu dungeon crawler, with a lot of procedural generation, because procedural generation is something that I'm very interested in, as Cervantes is very well aware of, as he's heard me talk about many times, and I'm sure that he's sick of hearing about Houdini. I'm planning to make a vertical slice MMO as a prototype first. Okay. And you've scoped it down to something small, right? Like your first MMO, if you're focused on an MMO, I think your first MMO should be, can I move around and can I hit another player? Right? Use his OWS system, but make a entirely small game, right? Okay, so there's a reason for it, right? If we go to takemeyouslut.com, you'll find the artist that's doing the assets for the characters. Houdini. Yes, Houdini. So if you go that will take you over to Rem's page, and Rem is doing the characters for the thing. And Rem, go to remtoto.com. It will take you over to his Patreon, and you can see he does waifus. Now, I can't scroll any further down because I know that there's one character that he did here that has adult material on it, and I can see it because I'm logged in. And I'm a tier 1 subscriber on his Patreon for a whole $1. But we're working together on this one. So that's yeah, there we go. Anyways, he's doing the characters. He wants to do waifus, so we're doing waifus. I'm also not opposed to it. All right, what was I up to here? Ooh, this is it, right? Where did the chat GPT go? Oh, right, I brought it over here because I needed to log in. What is the on overlap delegate for a box component? I should not be there. Hey Cervantes, did you hear that Gaz got a 3-day suspension? Do. Yeah, sexual content. Speaking of Rem 2. Rem Toto. Rem Toto. And then once he's done, we'll shut out Gaz. Yeah, yeah. And he wasn't even doing something sexual at the time. It's like, the fuck. Okay, so it's on component begin overlap. Okay, so we're on component begin overlap, and then add dynamic this and interact. Oh, right. I forgot this needs slightly different things. Or is it just a... Wait. What's the signature for this? The signature for this is going to be a lot. Oh, well. Yeah, 3-day suspension. Kind of sucks to be Gaz. Yep. Oh. It's just a 3-day suspension. You just can't stream for 3 days. Yeah. It's a pain in the butt. Oh. I am trying so hard to think of a way to do this. Yeah, I have to change the... I literally have to change the signature right now in order for this to work with the overlap component. I really didn't want to do that. God damn it. I was thinking about doing it a different way, and that's why I did it the way I did it initially. But then I realized that it's gonna be such a pain in the dick to do. No, I can get away with this. Yeah, I can get away with this. If I do a U function, void on begin overlap event. And then here I do the primitive. Right? Do There we go. This should work. Oh, this is class. right? No. What was the error that we were having before? Oh, I think this is supposed to be a pointer. On begin overlap event. What if? What if? Just what if? Give me the error thingy. This one? No. This one? Oh. All right, have a good one, man. No. Oh, I know. Boom. Turn this. Oh, sorry. Other component get. Oh, is it just get overlapping actor? Uh, what are we? Oh, other actor. There we go. Delete. Other actor. There we go. Hmm. I think for this one, I should stick with my guns. This has to be done in this. All right, all right. We're just gonna do this. We're gonna test it first though, because I think that I have to set the collision still. Do, do, do. There's my door trigger. Let's move this up. That seems about right. Save. Compile. Hmm. There we go. I forgot to adjust my door though. Can't vouch for it because I haven't watched it yet.
Hi,
Mm. Only one way to find out, right? Stash it for later. Uh, so the gas documentation that you just linked is usually the one that I use. Does this guy do? No. I did this though. This one here. It's not too bad. Yeah, that's good. Oh yeah, you can see it on the side there. I pretty much did the same thing. But I'll take a look at it. I sent the link over to a friend so on Discord so I can just I use that as like a notepad for later. I can go through it when I'm in bed or something like that. Okay, so now if we go through this trigger, opening, open, closing, closed, open, opening, closing, closed. Beautiful. So you did the whole gas documentation. Are you still struggling with gas? Um, I've done it off and on, right? And I don't think I've gone through the entire tutorial. Yeah. I've successfully implemented it like twice. But because there's been so much time between them, like I think at the first time I implemented it was like 2.6. Like 4.2.6. And then like the second time I implemented it was like 4.2.7 towards the end of it. And then the next time I tried to implement was in like 5.1. So like there's always like these massive gaps where I'm working on other things, right? So like I took a year off and did 3D modeling for an entire year. And I did a course, right? And I didn't really do a whole lot of Unreal programming during that time. And then I have periodic breaks where I don't have a project that I want to work on, so I kind of just do more web development-y stuff in my free time because like I've got web dev projects that I want to work on too. Anyways. I like how Nanite removes the need from... No, it does not. It does not remove the need for UV maps. It removes the need for lows to some degree. You still need UVs. You can't not have UVs. Without UVs, everything's shader based. Yeah, without UVs, everything is shader. So let's take, for example, what is it? What's that one that Epic bought that's really popular? mega scans, right? Right? Like, uh, these are UV'd. Even their super high ones are UV'd. They have to be UV'd, right? You can't get this kind of look without UVing. It's yeah, it's just not going to happen, right? Not into a game engine, at least. So you have, all right. So what graphics card do you have, right? Because like I have a 3090 Ti, right? VRAM. Oh, you have a, okay. So we have 24 gigabytes of RAM, right? Inside of our graphics card. And it has, does this have the, does this have the spec sheet? What's the core count? Here we go. Okay, so we have 24 gigs of RAM across 10,752 cores, right? If we have 4K textures, 4K texture in MB. 90 megabytes. So 4K texture is 90 megabytes. If you have 60 textures, right? That is 5.4 gigs of just textures, right? In if you have that in a single scene and you have to send that all um to the graphics card for rendering, right? We have a lot of VRAM, right? But if you look at like the 4060 VRAM, 8 gigs. It takes 60 textures, not even the models, 60 textures to bust the 4060's VRAM budget. It's crazy, right? Like 16 gigs of VRAM is not that much. Neither is 8, right? Like it's crazy to think about. Now, if we're dealing with with shaders, right? Which shaders don't need to have a shader doesn't need a UV because a shader can work based off of world position, but the computation of a shader is really high. Okay, so a shader has a really high computation level and but very low VRAM requirements, and a UV texture map has really high VRAM memory usage, but really low computation, right? So it's a balancing act of what do you put in your UVs and what like your UV textures and what do you put in your shaders to balance out for performance. So throwing 100% of the entire world into VRAM, into shaders is a terrible idea. You're going to blow your budget and destroy people's GPUs, and people won't be able to play the game. You won't have any resource for like actually doing anything, right? But if you throw too much, too large into your textures, then you'll blow that cache, and then you've got problems there, right? This is a balancing act. But yeah, no, absolutely it is required. UVing is still required. Oh, those are all based off of UVs. Normal maps, ambient occlusion, deformation, base texture, metallic. Um, you can get away with less texture maps, right? Because like you're right, you don't need a normal map because you're using the high poly. You don't need an inclusion map because you're using the high poly calculated on the go. You don't need deformation because you're using the high poly. It's already part of the asset, right? But there is a reason why deformation maps are a big thing in UE 5.2, and it's because they're using them inside of Fortnite, and they're using nanite inside of Fortnite. So while deformation maps are not strictly required, they do make a performance difference, and there's a reason why they're going to use them. I wouldn't be able to tell you the very technical reason as to why it's required for their specific use case because I'm not 100% sure. But no, even Fortnite's going to be using deformation maps. So
Traditionally, in game development, we have used
and he is not wrong.
something called maps. These can be
Yeah, so I've watched this. And he's not wrong. But not even Unreal does everything with nanite. Yeah. Because Fortnite still has a lot of like although you know what? That might be for mobile where you can't do nanite. Because there's still some devices you can't use nanite on. So I wonder if it's that. Actually, that might be it. That might be it. It might be for like phones and stuff like that. Yeah, because Fortnite. So the trick is to follow Fortnite. If you want to know what's like the right way to do graphical stuff and stuff like that, you always just follow Fortnite. Fortnite has like is the benchmark, right? Because like if you've ever wondered whether or not making your entire world nanite's a good idea or not, you need to check whether or not Fortnite's map is entirely nanited or not. If it is, then it's probably a good idea to do. Because we know it works at scale. I haven't watched one of his videos in a long time though. Anyways, I'm gonna call it a night because it's 10 o'clock and I have to head to bed and send some messages off because I've got a trip coming up. So I will catch you all later. And thank you so much for showing up. Thank you again to Cervantes for the raid. You were awesome. It was great meeting you and talking to you, Ice Kureg. I don't know that I'm saying that right, but I hope I am, or I hope I'm a little bit good. I'm gonna call you Ice if that's okay. Anyways, give our man Mecha Miniatures here some love. Great guy, very nice. I believe he's a bit of a troll, and I will see you all later. Ta ta for now. Charles Entertainment Cheese.